The morning coffee, my drug. How you going, brothers? I hope this video finds you well. One of the really dumbass things that I feel our government did during lockdown was take away fishing and hunting. I know there's a logical reason behind it. If somebody has an accident, it used up emergency services that could be used on dealing with C-19. But it was all bouncing out of whack. And I have one young fella that I've had since 20 years now that lost his gun license, because he got caught once. I mean, he was dumb. He got caught and then he went out again and got caught twice when we weren't supposed to hunt. I phoned up the police in Auckland and spoke to somebody up there to say, can I fish off my houseboat? Because I was living on the houseboat at the time. And the lady said, no, you can't. And I said, why not? She said, you might cut yourself. Well, you could cut yourself in your kitchen cutting the fat off a steak. Not that you'd be silly enough to cut your fat off your steak, but there apparently are people out there do that. I can't imagine cutting the fat off steak. I always buy the fattest bit of steak I can see in the shop. Anyway, point being is that the mental health of a lot of us men is actually dependent upon hunting and fishing. And you might go, what? I have got through some of my hardest periods through hunting. When my kid's mum took the kids away from me and moved to the North Island, I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. The family had broken down. We're talking nearly 20 years ago. The family had broken down. Everything I'd hoped for I'd lost, and I was separated from the children that I love, and her too. I hadn't stopped loving her just because she stopped loving me. You know how that feels. So anyway, she went to Paikakariki in the North Island, and I was here, and what did I do? Well, I went hunting. I had 3 dogs. They weren't particularly good, but they were by the time that year was up. I wrote a song about it called Single Man. It's on my very first CD called Quarry Treat. So today's talk is about hunting and about fishing, and I want to just go into a little bit of the reason as to why I hunt. And some of you, not all of you, because we've all got different reasons for hunting. There are people out there that just enjoy killing. I'm not one of those people. I've never taken pleasure from killing an animal. It's a dirty job. It's a job that involves taking the life from a sentient being, something that's feeling the sun on its back in the morning, it's got mates, it's grown up from tiny wee baby and survived nature, and you suddenly destroy it. And I've been a culler. I've culled goats where you're just mowing them down, search and destroy. And you get cut off from the feeling from it, but I've never enjoyed it. And then, of course, pig hunting is close up and personal. The boar is looking you in the eye. You're drawing your knife because you've got it contained. You're sticking the knife into its heart. You're killing it, and it doesn't get pretty much. I don't think anything gets more close up and personal when it comes to killing than either cutting an animal's throat or sticking its heart. So that part of hunting I've never enjoyed. I've always done it because someone's got to do it, and I eat meat. I've taken that part of the equation and gone, okay, I have to deal with it because I love animals, but I also love eating, and it's a conscious choice. Us human beings don't have to eat meat. I make a conscious choice to eat meat, and I put it in a place where it makes sense to me. And a vegan or a vegetarian might argue, well, what's the difference between killing your dog? Well, there are countries where they do eat dogs, and there's countries where they eat cats, like in China. And my only problem I have with that is not the fact they kill them and eat them, but it's how they do it. It's in the way it's done, which is horrific. No animal should suffer, whether it's a cow, a sheep, or a dog, or a cat. I've put dogs down that have had to be put down. It's a job I've hated doing, but there's been dogs that have either been injured or that have bitten somebody or killed sheep. So over the course of my life, yes, I have put dogs down, and you know yourself, if you've done it yourself, every time you do that, a piece of your soul just disappears and it never comes back, and you never forget it. So I'm not a cold-blooded killer, but I kill. And I kill because that is part of my psyche as a man. It's how I evolved. It's how my ancestors evolved. So let's talk about the act of why I like hunting. Hunting for me brings a lot of things to the table other than just meat. It takes care of my fitness, my core strength. Fitness comes through the long roam going through the bush, round trees, mountains, craggy nooks, crossing rivers. All that stuff involves a certain amount of coordination and strength, and then the real strength comes into taking the meat out. I can't carry anywhere near what I used to because some of my pelvic floor's been cut out through cancer, but I still do okay for a a lightweight who's been through that. So there's that aspect of it, the cardio and the strength, very, very natural. You think about carrying an animal on your back up high, like strapped across here, and you're walking around the side of a hill, you're using your core strength all the time. So that in itself is the ultimate workout. You won't be able to do that in the gym because you're trying to balance, you're changing your position all the time, and that is a real core workout, and it's a natural one. We evolved carrying meat out of the bush. The big thing I really love about hunting for me is the quiet. I'm in the bush, everything's still, and I'm focused. And when I say quiet, I'm not talking about the quiet in the bush. There's 1,000 noises in the bush. I'm talking about the quiet that goes on here. I stop thinking about having to contact the Inland Revenue. I start thinking about bills that I've got to pay. I stop thinking about the natural things in life that worry me, whether it's my children getting sick. I guess my kids is always my biggest worry. I don't spend a lot of time worrying, but that would be the one area about my children. And I think as a parent, you never stop thinking about your kids and hoping they're okay and trying to help them on their journey. So that goes. I'm not thinking about my children then. I'm not thinking about anything other than that bark, or that sign on the ground, or that smell of fresh dung, or which way the wind's going, or where the prey is I'm hunting, keep on the right side of the wind. The noise, that dry stick in front of me, don't stand on it, don't crack it. All the things that a hunter understands goes through the mind, and these all happen on automatic pilot. They're not conscious thoughts, they're just naturally happening because I'm a hunter. And then there's all the other things. My knife, is it ready to grab when I need to draw it? Is my GPS got enough battery power to last the next 8 hours, because it looks like we're in for a big day? Where are the dogs right now? Looking at the GPS. Or if it's deer stalking, it's bush stalking, got the rifle. Generally I'll carry it. I don't have it on my back. I carry it to the zone, but one thing my father always taught me was carry a rifle, because it's got to be from there to that quick. And if it's on your back, it's that, and it's gone. So all of these things are really, really good for our mental health. And this channel is mostly about mental health. I mean, we talk about finding solutions to problems, but it's finding a way for you to manage your mental health. We all have mental health. None of us are immune to having good days and bad days. And it's funny what this channel brings up. Different people will listen to me talk and they'll make an assumption on, with their judgmental part of their mind, why I'm talking about it, or they'll get something from it that helps them, or they'll go, that's wrong, I don't agree with that, and that's absolutely fair enough, because we've all got our own truth. There'll be people that look at me and go, you're not qualified to say that, and you'd be absolutely right. I'd agree with you 100%. I'm sharing a view that's only my view. We've all got a perception of what life is based on our past experiences, and your past experiences are way different to mine. But one thing that we all do have in common, and we all can agree on, is when you're in the hunt zone, even if you're not a hunter, for that time, if you're a person that suffers anxiety, it's very hard to be anxious at the same time as concentrating, trying to hear the noise or smell that smell or be mindful of the wind. I've never actually known anybody to have anxiety when going down to the bale of a pig. I've known people to get stag fever and get anxiety when it comes to pulling the trigger. I've done it myself. When I shot my tail last year, I don't get stag fever, but when I got it lined up, I could feel myself getting over. I was really having to do my breathing. I was like overexcited. Here was this big bull tail, and I was really having to be mindful to control that. But that's a different type and a natural type of anxiety to have. We evolved having that, and that comes from protection. This comes from survival. It's like, can this animal fight me back? When you've got a rifle and there's a distance, easy. But when you've got a boar and you're holding both its back legs, and you know that if you let one go, and you've only got one dog swinging off it, or no dog swinging off it, and you know it can open you up, then that's a natural thing to have. Going into a tight bale where they're holding it, or it's been held, not so difficult. Going into a loose bale where the boar's running around and you're suddenly getting ready to run up a tree. I've been treed before too. That's something that's there to protect us. It's a natural feeling. Today, in this brave new world, which is a crazy new world compared to what it used to be just 100 years ago, even 50 years ago, we don't have that threat. We don't have that type of hunting for the majority of people. The majority of people don't experience that, so it's replicated in video games. And gaming is a huge industry now, which is now bigger than the music industry. And I wonder why that is. Well, that natural same thing, that same buzz has been replicated, simulated on a computer. You're hunting either a man and he's hunting you back, and the same thing's happening. The only problem that I have with that, it's all going on in here, but the body's not doing anything. Someone's sitting there, they've got a cigarette going or a coffee going, and they're like probably drinking V's or some power drink, and they're in a chair. Quite different to being on the mountain and actually using your body. Completely different. I've done a little bit of gaming when I was in Germany. We're talking 15 years ago, 16 years ago, maybe even longer, 20 years ago. It's been around for a long time. And I went into this room and there was all these young men, all smoking, all drinking coffee and power drinks. And one of them was a fan from the show. And he said, "Hey, sitting here, bro." And I think it was Minecraft. Has that been around for 20 years? I don't actually remember what game it was. And he showed me basically how to do it. And I got hooked in. And I could feel it. And at this stage in my life, I was a musician. I wasn't doing the normal hunting and fishing and outdoor pursuits, and I really could understand why someone would get hooked into that. So anyway, I think that today, if you are somebody who's having some really dark thoughts or struggling with anxiety, any of that stuff is going on in your life, something that will help you is getting out on the hill, beating your feet. Don't have to get a kill. Just take your crossbow or your compound bow or your longbow or your rifle or your dog or your spear or your traps, whatever it is that you want to use to catch your prey. Put yourself into a position where you're uncomfortable. Get up early in the morning. You might want to take a fly and a small backpack and something to carry your meat out in, and go on a mission to harvest your own meat and see how it affects your well-being inside. And I would be very surprised if you struggle. If you're somebody who's in a really bad place, then I would suggest go with somebody else. Because one thing about your problems in this life is you can never run away from them. You can pack them up and carry them with you to another place. And you know people that keep on traveling, want to keep moving. There's an old saying, what is it? A rolling stone gathers no moss. But another thing that I would say about being a rolling stone is you may not gather any moss on the outside, but you still carry everything on the inside. At some stage, sooner or later, you've got to face what it is that you've got to face, and we all have to do it. We've all got to have that conversation. We've all got to deal with that part of ourselves that is difficult. And for me, that would be my conversation with my own father, for me. And I had that conversation in my 30s. And today, I go around and see my dad, and we have a... It's funny because now I see him as an old friend. I don't really look at him as my dad that raised me. We just become old friends, and he's an old friend that's nearing his end. An old friend who I've got a huge amount of respect for. Hunting, fishing, getting out, doing something that's outside of your normal place is healthy. So find the motivation to do that, and you'll find that it brings you a lot of gifts. You'll find that you suddenly have another perspective about everything. We are not designed to be sitting on our asses all day. We're not designed to be sitting in buildings all day. We're not designed to be walking around on a concrete street. Take your shoes off, walk on the beach, or get out in the bush, and you will be rewarded. Smell the smells of nature. Become in tune with being in an environment that's so natural to you. Seeing green everywhere is peaceful. It's peaceful. It's much more peaceful than being in a place where there's false stimulation all the time. It calms the mind, calms the soul, calms the body, and you're using the body to get through. These are my experiences. They're not necessarily correct, but this is what I have found. And this is what's kept me balanced. And right now, we're ending the fishing period of the season here. I'll probably go out the next few days. I'm going to do one more mission, but then I'll be into the hunting when the weather cools. You know, my shirt goes back on. It's probably cool enough to start running dogs. I don't wear a shirt during the summer because it's so hot. Well, most days I don't. Anyway, thanks for hearing us out. Check on yourself. Check on the idea of going out in the bush for a wee walk. Just make it happen. Just set your clock tomorrow, or the next first day you have off work. Tomorrow's Saturday, so I think you'll be okay. For most of you, some of you poor buggers will be working tomorrow. But get out and just do it. Make it happen. Take this opportunity now to embark on something you've never done if you've never been for a hunt. You just might start off by learning to scout. Go for a walk in the bush and look at the marks. Is that a deer mark or is it a goat mark? Is that a pig mark? Do your research. You'll find something exciting in that, and you'll find something very primitive down inside yourself that's very real and is part of being a man. that's really all I want to say. Have a fantastic day. Have a good weekend. And check on a brother. Go steady. See ya.